All right, the time is 5 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Christy?
Present.
Dana?
Present.
Dan?
Present.
Eric?
Present.
James?
Present.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to approve the absences, please? Do we technically have absences? I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'll move to approve the absence of Andrew Grayson.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Luis, would you mind reading the disclaimer, please?
Chapter 16, Section 22 of the City of Kalamazoo Ordinance states, historical preservation is a public purpose. To serve that purpose, the Historic District Commission is hereby charged with the following responsibilities. A, the Kalamazoo Historic District Commission is empowered to regulate work on the exterior of historic resources and non-historic resources in historic districts in the City of Kalamazoo, and shall otherwise have all powers invested in historic district commissions pursuant to the Local Historic Districts Act, MCLA 399201, and 1970 PA 169 as amended in 1992. B, to regulate work on resources which, by city ordinance, are historic or non-historic resources located within local historic districts, including but not limited to the moving of any structure into or out of, or the building of any structure in an historic district. The following documents are available in the Community Planning and Economic Development Department located at 245 North Rose Street. These documents will help assist property owners in understanding their responsibilities of owning property in a local historic district. MCLA 399201, 1970 PA 169 is amended in 1992, which is the Michigan Local Historic District Act. The Code of Ordinances of the City of Kalamazoo, Michigan, particularly Chapter 16, which deals with historic districts. Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, 1990. Standards and Guidelines for Kalamazoo Historic Districts and Maps of Kalamazoo Local Historic Districts. These documents and maps are also available on the City of Kalamazoo website at www.kalamazoocity.org/historic preservation.
Thank you, Luis. Do we have any additions to the agenda tonight?
I do not know.
Okay. Any guests that need to be introduced? Any public comments on non-agenda items? Looks like no. Okay. Could I get a motion to adopt the formal agenda, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And then could I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Do you have any new business at all?
No.
Okay. Then I guess let's move on to the applicants. The first one is 1014 Davis.
Except maybe James.
Aye.
Hi.
Hey.
So this is a house we've lived in since August 1st, 2000, and we're getting some work done. We're finally replacing the nasty vinyl windows with real wood windows, so that's part of the application. And the other is to remove and side over a window that we do not use and in fact are afraid to open because it is so deteriorated we're not sure it would ever close again. That's on the back of the house, and you've got the pictures and everything in your packets, so you know what I'm talking about. We have plenty of 1910 cedar shingles that match our house that we got from Christie's house. Oh, with approval. We didn't just yank them off the side of the house. So we will just want to side over it so there will be nothing there. That part of the house was originally a garage, and I believe that was probably the back door that led to the yard. They made it into a window, and we just don't need it. So that's my, oh, and we're going to, the lower right photo is where we had a deck that was attached to the house, and the cedar shingles that were under it had deteriorated very badly. They were just powder and shreds. So again, we want to put new matching materials in that position. So that's it, not a real complex project.
Yeah, thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions? So are they new windows, or are they?
Oh, they're wooden, yeah. Weather Underground is Window Underground is making them for me.
Oh, cool.
So,
Great.
yep.
Yeah, thanks. If there are no questions, does
I had
anyone? Oh, you
just
have-
a quick
oh, sorry.
question, just to clarify. The shingles, the cedar shakes, those are just to replace ones that have failed? But
Correct.
You're not removing a window, you're just replacing it with an appropriate wooden one?
Oh, in the dining room windows, the pair, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct. No, we're just re-siding, putting new century-old siding underneath.
Yes, okay, thank you.
And you're gonna be siding over the vinyl window that you're removing though, correct?
Correct,
Yes.
correct. Yep. It'll disappear, it'll be gone.
Yep.
I have no questions. I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness as it complies with Secretary of Interior Standards 4, 5, 6, and 9.
I will second.
Thank you for that. Casey, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Dana?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes,
Ann?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll be in touch with you probably Thursday or Friday, because we're not in the office tomorrow,
Okay.
to get the certificate of appropriateness over, so.
Okay, great. Thank
Yep.
you, Luis.
Thanks so much. Great seeing you. Moving on to 722 Eleanor.
I have a question. Does this TV work down here today?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not on.
Can we turn it on, please? Thank you.
Welcome
I don't know
back.
How to turn it on, I
Hey.
guess, is the other thing. No.
Well, there's nobody in the audience.
We can be there. That doesn't seem to be working.
It's not a big deal. If they were
Yeah.
referencing pictures, I wanted to understand correctly.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, welcome back, and what do you have to share with us?
I believe that you already have the documentation that, again, the second builder, an actual restoration builder,
Yeah.
had pretty much stated what the first builder had stated. So I'm here to request that the building, you allow me to tear the building down.
Great.
There really is not another option. I mean, I couldn't even probably find someone to restore it if that were even possible, I don't think. But anyway, so that was my request to continue with the meetings from before.
Thank you so much for getting that second opinion for us. Does anyone have any questions regarding that?
I'll just start with a comment. I appreciated the additional pictures on the second.
Yeah, he was very thorough.
He was,
I was very impressed.
That definitely helped to better illustrate the problem that you're facing. And I see where he noted that the value of the garage is less than the cost of repair. And I think that speaks volumes. I also think there's some historic value, but also seeing the danger not only to the workers, but to the neighboring properties also stood out to me. So thank you.
I would like to say I disagree. I was at the property today myself. Now, based on photo on page 15, yes, you do have a property next door. That's a property that should come down, that building. So to claim that you can't access your building because of that, I think is kind of a weak excuse. I also think the fact that you haven't replaced siding in 8 years and you haven't repaired the roof in 8 years is kind of a weak excuse to claim that it's a hazard. That's my opinion. To also further to say that there's nobody that will repair this, I think that's incorrect because I myself can do that work, and there's many, many people around that can do that type of work. It would appear to me that there's perhaps other reasons for wanting to tear it down than the fact that it cannot be maintained. I also want to state for the record that this is a historic district. I presume you were aware when you bought this property, you were buying in a historic district and that you would be subject to commission overview. I just wanted to state that for the record. It can be repaired. Is it a cost? Yes, it is.
The foundation is actually cracked, so if you were in there, you've seen the foundation actually cracked. So how do you suggest that you're going to fix that foundation?
I
to
could
keep
not
it
get
stable?
inside of the building because of the doors. I wasn't going to pry the doors open or anything like that. But from the outside, the block appears to be in good shape.
It is not. You have pictures, I believe, of that.
Well, there were some minor cracks that I did see, but nothing that, and I see heaving in the parking area, but that has nothing to do with
Right,
the
you had asked
actual.
me to get a second opinion from I have no idea who this guy is or who this company is, and he states exactly the same thing as the first builder, and he's an actual restoration builder. He's not someone
Well,
that's just
what
saying-
you're looking at there is a restoration builder is probably going to be more expensive than just your average Joe because he
Sure.
has specialty that he needs to get compensated for. But to say there's not people that can fix it, there's many people that can make the repairs.
So the company that you did book, like I own a historic building, and they did come out and do some work for me, and they're an amazing company. I do trust their opinion on stuff. They were willing to tackle the building they restored for me. It took quite a few contractors to turn down working on it before they did, so I'm just adding that in. So I do know the company that said that, and that means something to me.
I guess I have a question for Luis, and I hope it's not a bad question to ask, but when does something become demolition by neglect? And only answer as you're comfortable. I understand that's a big question.
Yeah, and I guess I would want to pull up the section of the code just to completely read it through and look at it. I think that we would start to be looking at more imminent danger, in my opinion, but I can pull it up to look at it. I can see why that question would certainly come up. I also think that when we did ask for more information regarding the structural integrity of the building, and I think that builders can certainly have differing opinions. So I think that's completely fine, right? I guess let me look up the actual ordinance language, and I can answer that better for you.
I mean, for him to state that we haven't done anything, we haven't painted the house in 8 years neither since we've owned it. We haven't done anything outside. We're in the process of doing that right now. So if that garage were, able to be taken care of in that aspect, you want me to paint it and throw up a couple boards? Sure, I'll do that. Am I restoring it? Yeah, I'm not going to completely restore the garage. The water from the back garage that's just far from it all comes to that back side of that garage. Just keeps hitting it. You can't even I don't even know how you would explain to me how you would get a painter back there to even paint the back side of that garage or to even repair anything on the back side of that garage.
You
You're
have
6 inches from it.
You have a point there, but the structure that's on the back, I mean, have you talked to the neighbor? Maybe they'd be all too happy to have you help them take that down as part of the process. I mean, that building there is completely dilapidated. So I think
Well, even the one on this side is
if
starting to
you
fall
look
apart.
for problems, you can find problems. If you look for solutions, you can find solutions.
I do want to just say that it would not be as simple too as just taking down the other building, because that would have to come back here as well. And I don't think that we can use that to leverage towards this case in any capacity. And I wanted to find something else to reference this against it as well. So the city ordinance states that upon finding by the commission that a historic resource within a local historic district or a proposed historic district subject to its review and approval is threatened with demolition by neglect, the commission may do either of the following. One, require the owner of the resource to repair all conditions contributing to demolition by neglect, or two, if the owner does not make necessary repairs within a reasonable time, the commission or its agents may enter the property and make such repairs as are necessary to prevent demolition by neglect. The cost of the work shall be charged to the owner and may be levied by the city as a special assessment against the property. The commission or its agents may enter the property for purposes of this section upon obtaining an order from the circuit court, which is obviously a bit of an extreme measure.
It seems like we're a few years away from doing anything like that. That doesn't seem like,
Another 8 years.
yeah.
The definition that's provided in the enabling legislature, PA 169 of 1970, means neglect in maintaining, repairing, or securing a resource that results in deterioration of an exterior feature of the resource or the loss of structural integrity of the resource is demolition by neglect, as defined in the enabling legislature.
Well, thank you for that. That just further solidifies my opinion on this, is that if my memory serves me, and maybe it's not, we could check the minutes, but you stated yourself that you have tried to do nothing since the 8 years when it was shored up, when it was secured. Is that correct?
Because it was already secured up from the prior people that owned it. Well, what actually was a organization that owned it, I believe. And they secured it up at that time. There's
the hole in the roof and the siding that's missing at the bottom where now wood is starting to rot and things like that. I have an opinion. I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah, some of that was already there when we bought it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my point is, they didn't do anything neither, and you guys didn't make them do anything. But maybe because they were an organization, I don't know. But.
And I think that
Well, they weren't asking to tear it down, though.
and that is the catalyst here in the situation, is that the request for demolition is what changes things. So the kind of thing that I always say is that I cannot compel folks to do work. I guess generally, we could look at demo by neglect, but let's just say in the majority of cases, I can't compel folks to do work. That would be other people within the city organization looking at blighted features of a property. But so it would not have been necessarily this body that was telling you that you need to repair the property. This body would just say, when you're going to do the repairs on the property, here's how they need to be executed. Or you have to ask for permission if you're going to deviate from the standards that are provided for the historic districts.
We're basically not out there looking for projects to weigh in on, in short, and that's why the previous owner wasn't compelled to do anything on it. But the status changes when you ask to remove it, and then we have to figure out if that's what should be done.
Sure.
So, if there is no other public comment or comment, I guess I got a public comment. What would you have to say, Sharon?
Please both come up to the
Yeah,
microphone.
please.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you bought it from the land bank.
That's who I bought.
You did, okay. This commission required the land bank to repair it when they asked to demolish it 10-some years ago, to shore it up. They didn't expect a restoration because it was a public entity, the land bank. And so they required this to be repaired enough that it would be stable. They did they did allow a carport that held 4 cars that was attached to the east side to be removed. And that probably evidence is gone completely now. But then they shored it up and they left it that way. So that was, even the land bank, which is a public entity, was required to make the repairs that were needed to be made just to stabilize the building. If they wanted to restore it, we would have been 100% behind them. You have one advantage that the land bank does not, in that if you decided you wanted to make repairs to this building, you could use the Michigan Historic Preservation Tax Credit, which is worth 25% of the cost of the repairs, to pay you back for the investment in the property. Because this would be an eligible property.
I tried to do that once, and I called on the day that you were supposed to do that, and they said it was all used up by one person.
It was, but
I said, okay, that's
Yeah.
going to be a
well,
negative thing.
this is like 2 years later, and now there is money. The piggy people have got their share, and now the smaller entities are able to make use of it. So that money is available again. I'm working on 3 different applications right now for people, so it can be done. So this is one advantage you have, that the land bank couldn't make use of that. It had not been reinstated, but also they're a nonprofit government entity. They can't use tax credits. So this is just speaking about the importance, it doesn't seem that important. It's just this old barn that's on the back. But this speaks to what this area was in the past. This is one of the remnants, one of the witnesses to the history of this area. And the more of these that we lose, the fewer that can talk about that kind of thing. 50 years from now, people may say, what barns? There aren't any barns behind any of these buildings. You say, well, yeah, but there used to be. People used to have horses. People used to have all sorts of other things. It's like, so we want as many as possible of these buildings to stand as witness to history for us. And possibly, maybe you could get it sound enough that you could actually let people park in it, So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
But it's pretty well braced up right now.
Yeah, I know. I could see some of the cross braces that were there, and because I had Luis's job for 20 years before I retired. So I know the property, and if we made the land bank do it. So.
Well, thank you so much for that insight. That gives me more clarity on it, and I think, I don't know if this would be an ongoing thing, but it would be awesome to see like past approvals, like that have, I don't know if that would be easy to collate, like if you could look up if a property has had the same thing come up over time. Be interesting. I don't know. It's too much. I don't want to put a lot of work on you, but it is an interesting insight.
There may be some grants available too, sir. There may be some grants available too that can help you with the cost. Nobody's going to give you $100,000, but it would help.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Did you have a comment as well? Yeah. Please come on up.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Would you state your name, please?
Yeah. My name's Mark Dunham, and I live at 717 Eleanor Street. And I'm here, of course, to oppose the demolition of this historic carriage house at 722 Eleanor Street. And I've lived on this block for 39 years, and I've also had rental property on this block for nearly as long. And I'd like to oppose the demolition on the grounds that it's a valuable historic resource. In my opinion, it's a safe structure, and it's not a threat at this point to life or property. Although it is true that it's suffering from deferred maintenance, and I'm quite shocked because I knew about the water damage, the water that was being directed towards the structure, when the land bank owned the property, and I'm absolutely stunned that water is. The water situation hasn't been addressed before now, and to build on what Sharon already addressed some of this, but the land bank got the property. It was tax foreclosed. The land bank got it in 2011. It was in the possession of the land bank from 2011 to 2016, at which time the property was sold to the present owner. When the property was in the possession of the land bank, they, in consultation with Sharon Ferraro, recognized the financial and historic value of the property and rehabilitated the 2-unit home, and which had been converted to a duplex around 1910. They also, more pointedly, the land bank devoted time, energy, and public money towards stabilizing the carriage barn. And some people believe that the carriage barn predates the house by several decades. So since purchasing the property, which the present owners knew is on an architecturally intact street in the historic district, the carriage house has received no maintenance in those 8 years. The roof's deteriorated to the point where at this moment, deteriorated roofing has slid off the roof and is piled on the ground. So those are some of the reasons why I'm opposing the demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or questions? Or if not, want to make a motion?
I will move to approve the demolition of the structure as proposed in the application.
Someone that has the packet in front of them, please make the motion, just so the language can be buttoned up.
Okay. I move to approve the proposed work as stated in the application as it meets criteria 4.
Do I have a second on that?
I guess if you could also go back and moving to approve the notice to proceed on the work because it meets the notice to proceed criteria 4, please. You can just amend it, Christy, that's fine.
You line. Can you repeat that to me?
Just that you're moving to approve the notice to proceed.
Okay. I move to approve the notice to proceed for the work as described in the application because it meets criteria 4.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you for that. Casey, could I get a roll call vote, please?
Is there any discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, any discussion for a vote? Okay. A roll call vote, please.
Dana,
No.
Christy,
No.
Dan,
No.
Eric,
No.
James.
No.
Okay, Rob, so it did not pass for the demolition of it. We can continue to talk about this, like I said, by the end of the week. I won't be in the office tomorrow. As Sharon stated, there are going to be tax credits, and this one would also be eligible for the National Register, the national tax credit, because it's listed on the National Register and it's a revenue-generating property. It's a 20% tax credit on your federal taxes. That doesn't have the same capping requirements as the state one does, so it takes away some of that stress of having to try to fight against the clock that the Michigan Historic Tax Credit presented to you when you tried to apply last time. I know that you fall into the category of small commercial, and I know that those credits were gone extremely quickly, the opening round, and I know that we did a big push to let people know about it the opening year, so it was a letdown for some folks when that was gone as quickly as it was. I also do just want to say that I do appreciate you going back out and getting the information that we requested, and you got it on a pretty tight schedule and got it to us again. So thank you, and we'll be in touch moving forward.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, well, that sums up all the applicants. Do you have a report for us?
Yeah, I do. Just looking at
Oh, do I? Yeah.
no,
that's it.
just hasn't been a lot of the stuff, administrative reviews. The one at 530 West South, you may recall that this came to us a couple months ago where they put on about 4-inch concrete columns at the base of the porte cochere columns. We approved that work. Continued to talk to the contractors at 530, and they just have decided now that they're just going to tear out the existing 8x8s, dig new footings, put in new 8x8s, and then wrap them with the original trim, which I said does not need any review because it would just be reverting it back to what it is already. They still have the trim in the basement, so I was pleased with the way that work is going to turn out, I think. I think that's the more appropriate fix for that because you're going to be reverting it to what it originally looked like. I didn't write this in the report. I guess I don't know why all the way, but as you all probably know, we had quite a few fires that happened over the past over the last week. So there were 3 houses on Allen Boulevard that needed to be demolished. When it comes to the point that the fire marshal just makes that call, I would never, I don't think, argue with him, but B, it's a safety call that he needed to make, so he did make that call and tore them down. No fun to have houses go down, right? Especially 3 right next to each other, and especially the house furthest to the north still had people living in it, so I'm glad that everyone got out and no one was harmed. I want to say the addresses were 117, 121, and then 123 or 125 Allen Boulevard, so that's going to leave a sizable hole in the streetscape on Allen Boulevard, which is just to the west of St. A's, and it runs perpendicular to Michigan Avenue there. There's also a fire on Vine Place that severely damaged the property, and I don't know what the fate is of that one yet all the way. I wouldn't be surprised if the fire marshal also said, hey, we might need to tear that one down, or if they came before this board in the near future. You could see through some of the exterior walls straight to the sky, so it would be a very sizable rehabilitation to do to that property, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like at all, to be honest. And then we had another fire on Walnut that was caught rather quickly, and hopefully that house can be salvaged. But again, at what cost? And it's a sad thing to see these fires happening to properties, any property in the city, truly. Historic properties obviously are near and dear to my heart, so it's a sad thing to see that happen. And it's also sad to see them where people are living in them, obviously. And I think the second worst thing to that is properties where people are doing work on them in the expectation of getting them up and running again, just to have that reverted back to square one by something as devastating as a fire. And when a fire happens, you're not only fighting fire damage, you're fighting smoke damage. You could be fighting the blunt force of axes when the firemen are trying to do their job. And I greatly appreciate the work that they did on all of these properties. And then you're also fighting water damage, which is all three of those things, or four of those things are really hard to come back from. So just wanted to let you guys know about that, let you know that we did lose those three properties, and let you know that as far as I know, no one was hurt in these fires. But what a devastating thing to happen. So,
I mean, have they ruled them related at all? Or are they all?
I don't know. And
Have you heard anything?
My wife spoke with the Walnut owner, and that's a real shame because he was doing such a meticulous job on the outside. It was
He came before the board for some of that work.
Yeah, and he said there was no power connected, so it couldn't have possibly been electric fire. It does look like one window has some cement blocks in it, and maybe somebody climbed in through that window. I don't know. But yeah, what a shame. What a shame on that one in particular.
I did see that they're investigating for arson, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I won't make any speculative comments, and I'll leave that all completely up to the law enforcement who are investigating it at this time.
I had just taken a walk maybe a month ago through that neighborhood, the Allen Boulevard neighborhood, and I was just like, what a secret, amazing little treasure this whole neighborhood was. And you could see they were working on bringing some of them back, and I was extremely disappointed. I drove out there and checked them out. Actually, Sharon, I learned about it from your Facebook post, and then I went and checked it out, and it was really heartbreaking. Like, just nothing was salvageable. All right. If there's nothing else, I think I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.